Yesterday's episode was so crazy with content that something actually slipped my mind. And I don't know why I'm trying to hide it. I probably put it in the title. And what that is the censorship that was in this episode of Mushoku Tensei. And I want to talk about it because obviously it was a discussion point that many had yesterday when this episode came out. And because of my review, I just really wanted to focus on just the feelings of Rudy, what was going on with this episode, the direction that this episode was taking, all that type of stuff. And the whole censorship stuff just slipped my mind. It really did. I have no excuse for it. It slipped my mind. I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll make a separate video just talking about it because it is something that does need to be addressed because obviously people are concerned about Mushoku Tensei's censorship. Because technically this isn't the first time that we have seen censorship in Mushoku Tensei Season 2. FYI, basically, back on, episode 0, actually, not 1, 0, when we had, Fitz and all that, or Sylphie, we got to see a scene where you had that bald guy. He was, doing some really weird stuff with the female character. That was a censored scene. And basically, a lot of people talked about that, and I never really talked about it, but there has already been censorship within Mushoku Tensei to this point. And so, obviously, this is the first time that we've actually seen censorship just this obvious. I think, honestly, throughout the entirety of MT to this point. I mean, we've had a little bit of censorship, but this is definitely, nobody can disagree. Just the shading, just the whole black screen right here just speaks for itself. So what's going on? Well, what's happening here? Why did it need to be censored? Is this good? Is this bad? Well, first things first, I never like censorship. I think that is just first thing I'm going to say. I don't like censorship. I don't think it's good to censor things. I think it really just gets rid of the overall, integrity of the work. And it basically allows people to be restricted, or it puts people to make them restricted where they can't do what they want. I don't like that. I don't like censorship. But obviously, we're not in a perfect world. We're not in a world to where we can live without censorship. It's cold, harsh truth. There's nothing we can do about it. And obviously, different countries have their own laws. Japan has their own laws, and they're not able to show nudity on screen, like a bunch of countries. And in this case, this obvious segment of MT does focus on the more raunchy side of things. Even though there is a lot of meaning to it, it's not just about fan service, etc. Obviously, they can't show everything. And from this entire scene, I'm going to take an educated guess. What we can't see here is obviously naked Rudy, but also probably Sarah. That's probably somewhere on the right over here that we just can't see, where she's near the door, getting up, getting changed, whatever. We just can't see it. Now, the question is how much is being shown? We don't know. But there is a few things to talk about with this. Obviously, yes, I don't like censorship, and I think many can agree, yeah, it's bad. We don't like it. And seeing this automatically takes away a lot from this scene. Just being able to see just a black screen is just like, why? Why? Because there's obviously different ways to go about censorship. You can, either, let's say, I'm going to give a few examples, actually. Like blood. Different ways of, dealing with blood within a show is obviously not showing blood, but that's not a good way to go about it either. But it's to change the color of the blood or something else. Maybe scratch marks, whatever. There's different ways to get around blood censorship within shows. We've seen it with anime. Also, when it comes to nudity or fan service within anime, we know that camera angles and objects being in front of people can also be used as some form of censorship. This has been done time and time again throughout many shows, and so that could also be used for scenes like this. However, one thing in particular that I got from this, in seeing how this is obviously a black screen, it does imply that they definitely wanted to show everything, and they didn't want to necessarily censor it. Now, I know that sounds kind of like a wrong thing to say, because obviously it's censored, but we gotta remember, this is gonna come out on BD DVD in Japan, and obviously that matters a lot in the Japanese audience, and so when this is released, it's going to be uncensored, and I'm gonna assume, because of that, they're wanting to do as much as they can and add as much content without censorship for the BD DVD, so when it does release, it will have everything there. So that is food for thought. I want to mention is that, yes, this sucks. But in the grand scheme of things, when you really do think about it, this does keep the integrity of MT kind of accurate. Because it's like, MT does have a lot of, like, raunchy, fan servicey moments that's very vital to the story. And obviously, Studio Bind and anyone that's working on this show, freelancers, whatever, are probably aware of this. And so they can't really get rid of that. And so their option probably is like, you know what, we're going to have to show it, so why don't we just censor it with a black screen and then release it in BD with the full thing, just people could see it. I think that, honestly, is a good move. As much as it sucks as a weekly watcher and someone that's gonna, be watching this series week by week, episode by episode, and all that, and we're probably gonna get to see a lot of black screens, I do think that in the grand scheme of things, when the series fully does come out, BD release, and all the uncensored nature, it's going to be a much better show. It's going to be a better show than just trying to, either cut the scenes out or use camera angles to block things with objects or just, something. So I think that I'd much rather deal with the overall black screen than anything else, because it at least shows that they're wanting to show everything. Once again, I know that's counterintuitive what I'm saying there, but it shows that at the very least they want to put it in, for when it is uncensored, it will be there. Hopefully I'm explaining that right. If I'm not, please forgive me. But, yeah, overall, Mushoku Tensei and censorship, obviously, is going to probably get more and more obvious as time goes on. I'm not going to fully get into the reasons why, but it definitely is going to get more censorship, if anything to go by, thanks to, this episode. Now, there was recent things that came out with leaks, by the way. I talked about this, last week, how there was apparently rumors or leaks coming around for Mushoku Tensei that wasn't necessarily around, delays or anything like that. It was good news. And apparently, Studio Bind, and it's not officially confirmed, just FYI, but Studio Bind's like, we want to animate all of Mushoku Tensei. We want to do the entire light novel series, which, at this point, we kind of already knew. I mean, Studio Bind kind of created itself just to make MT, but also, in the running, when Season 1 came out, when Season 1 first started to air, there was a few animators within Studio Bind that already said they wanted to do that. So, technically, the information that these leakers kind of told us a few days back isn't anything relatively new. It's something that we kind of already were aware of, but it's nice to see that overall thought process, that logic, so to speak, of what, is driving these animators hasn't actually been discarded. It is something that's still vivid in their mind, and they do want to continue making this series the entirety of the light novel into an anime. I think that's great. So that is something to talk about. I do think it's good news, even if it's technically old news. But yeah, I mean, overall, I wanted to talk about the censorship, because, I mean, I hate censorship like everyone else, but I much rather have a black screen and know when the BD comes out we're going to get to see everything than not have a black screen and they just cut the scene entirely. I mean, it's just like, you got to pick your poison, so to speak. Just pick which poison you want. And so, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be a better product. So, that's my thought process on it. But, oh yeah, before I wrap up, man, the amount of people that did not understand this episode of MT, it astounds me. What I saw yesterday, not from you guys in the comments, by the way, because you guys in the comments are good. You guys really are definitely, just shout-outs to you. You all are really intelligent and also just are able to really understand the entirety of what you're watching. Because honestly, from what I've seen, at least on social media, especially Twitter, or now known as X for whatever reason, yeah, the name of Twitter was changed to X, a lot of people don't have media literacy. It's very clear that they surface level look at things and don't understand what's really going on within the story. And just a lot of people did not understand the emotions that Rudy was going through within this episode. And it's like, oh, he's upset because he couldn't, make Sarah happy. It's like, it's not as simple as that. There's just so much going on in this episode. But, yeah, it's crazy that people are not able to properly process what they're watching, and somehow they managed to make it 2 seasons deep. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.